Bill Maher called out CNN's Kaitlan Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
You made press because you were on Stephen Colbert's show, and he said something like, you guys at CNN just report the news straight, and the crowd burst into laughter.
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And
I'm talking about the people on CNN, and what I know what the conservative side of America thinks, and I don't blame them. They were just gushing about how great a speech it was. And I think she did fine. I didn't think it was as good as they were making it out to be. It does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. What she's kind of saying is, I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse than I hate you. It's like, I don't think about you.
I don't know if it's worse than denigrating the press on a daily basis.
The CNN anchor is still going after Levitt, Trump, and Elon Musk, and her attacks are getting even more desperate. Well, Bill wasn't about to let that slide. This time, his response was even harsher. Pure fireworks. And lucky for you, we've got all the proof. Let's get into it.
Would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours. It'll be absolute growth.
Want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people.
Let's follow up on that because that's a really...
Excuse me, let me just follow up.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
We'll get to Bill's takedown in just a second, but first, let's talk about why Maher, a guy who voted for Biden, suddenly sounds like he's backing Republicans. Here's the thing. Woke journalists have been trying to trap Trump long before the November election, and leading the charge? None other than Kaitlan Collins. In the clip we just watched, the CNN anchor was fishing for a gotcha moment, something that would make Trump look unfit for office. The question itself was a setup. If Trump said he wanted Ukraine to win, they'd accuse him of escalating World War III. If he backed Russia, they'd call him a traitor. A no-win situation for the future American president. Kaitlan thought she had him cornered, but Trump isn't new to this. He sidestepped the trap perfectly, making it clear he didn't want any more lives lost, Ukrainian or Russian. Smart move. But if there's one thing the woke crowd can't stand, it's losing control of the narrative. And they weren't about to let this one go, so they doubled down.
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
you
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Trump wasn't about to put up with Kaitlan Collins' usual tactics, so he called her out on the spot. And honestly, he had every reason to. Instead of asking a simple, straightforward question, she kept adding her own commentary, dragging things out, almost like she was stalling in her own interview. Classic CNN move. It was obvious what she was doing. This wasn't about getting real answers. Her whole approach was built around trapping Trump with loaded no-win questions. The goal? Get him to slip up, fumble, or even better, catch a soundbite that the media could milk for days. But Trump saw it coming from a mile away. Like a seasoned fighter, he dodged, deflected, and slipped out of the trap with ease, then came right back with a brutal counterpunch. 1 second, Kaitlan thought she had him boxed in, and the next, she was the one scrambling. It was brutal, and honestly, this wasn't the first time she's tried this. But as always, Trump flipped the script right back on her. That didn't stop her though. This time, she shifted her focus to his son, Donald Trump Jr.
That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally hit every day for 9 years, it creates it. Okay. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to as well. He questioned if he was America's.
This heated exchange happened right after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and Trump Jr. didn't hold back. He directly blamed the media for fueling the attack by constantly comparing his father to Hitler. And honestly, he's not wrong. For nearly a decade, the media has pushed the narrative that Trump is America's Hitler. a dictator determined to destroy the country. They've mocked him, vilified him, and turned him into a monster. And did you catch that last part where Kaitlan Collins smugly pointed out that J.D. Vance once called Trump Hitler? So what? Vance never had the media's influence, reach, or power, so his words didn't carry nearly the same weight. Plus, he probably fell for the media's anti-Trump narrative at first, until he actually got to know Trump and realized he was nothing like the villain they painted him to be. So, is it really a surprise that Bill Maher snapped? He sees the hypocrisy, the double standards, and the damage caused by media-driven smear campaigns. And this time, he wasn't about to let them off the hook.
Was it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
Bill Maher had reached his limit with the media's double standards. Kaitlan Collins and her colleagues have spent years pushing a one-sided story, painting Biden as a saint and Trump as the ultimate villain. They're not just reporting the news, they're shaping it. Their obsession with keeping Democrats in power has led to non-stop negative coverage of Trump, twisting his words, spinning every headline, and keeping the outrage machine running 24/7. But when the scandals involve their own side, silence. Take Hunter Biden, for example. His leaked laptop contained damning evidence of corruption, shady foreign deals, and influence peddling. But Kaitlan and her team buried the story like it never even happened. Now, imagine if Don Jr. had even a fraction of Hunter's baggage. CNN would be covering it non-stop for weeks. And that's exactly why Bill Maher snapped. He sees the hypocrisy. He knows the media isn't just biased, they're acting as activists. And this time, he wasn't going to let them off the hook.
There was what you'd have to call some sort of media suppression of Hunter Biden's computer right before the election.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Okay,
and the truth is, I still don't know what I think about that. And sometimes,
right.
But I mean, to actually parse everything in there and figure out just how dirty Biden Sr. is as a result of the information there.
Can I go to step two? But nothing really. It was common. It was the kind of sort of everyday graft that's sleazy, but doesn't affect the world. Probably.
Yes.
Hunter Biden sold his father's influence to get money. But Joe Biden himself would not give away our nuclear secrets to the Chinese. He's not, he has a soft spot for his son. His ne'er-do-well, stupid.
I mean, you've heard his voicemails to his.
Hunter. So, like, Dad, I'm in a little bit of a jam. Could you just meet with the Chinese guy next week? It would mean a lot to me. And Joe would do it, and then Hunter would get the money for the meeting.
That's how out of control things got when the Hunter Biden scandal blew up. Honestly, we're probably lucky he didn't sweet-talk his dad into handing over nuclear codes for a quick payday. Because given his history, would anyone really be surprised? This is a guy who has sold access, influence, and who knows what else. But sure, let's all keep pretending that Trump is the real villain here. The media goes to extreme lengths to shield the Bidens, acting like Hunter is just some misunderstood guy dealing with personal struggles. But let's be real. If Trump Jr. had even half of Hunter's scandals, the media would be calling for his head on a platter.
Let's unravel what could easily be Hollywood's most explosive fiasco of 2024. George Clooney, Hollywood's golden boy known for his charisma, sophistication, and status as cinematic royalty, is now caught in the middle of a career meltdown so over the top, it feels ripped straight from one of his own disaster movies. At the core of this mess is a feud so fiery, so public, and so wildly entertaining, it's grabbed the attention of both the industry elite and everyday viewers alike. And the unexpected co-star in this unscripted drama, Bill Maher, the unfiltered host of Real Time, wielding his signature wit like a weapon. But before we unpack this whirlwind of betrayal and scandal, a quick shout out for tuning in, because trust me, this is one wild ride you won't want to miss. Clooney's troubles began with what was supposed to be a straightforward political ad, a nod to his activism, and a move to keep him relevant in today's shifting cultural tides. Instead, the ad was a disaster. It wasn't just criticized, it was utterly shredded. Don't believe me? Let me show you the infamous clip. Buckle up, it's about to get interesting.
Come on, boys, let's make America great again. It's your turn, buddy.
Before you cast your vote in this election, think about how it'll impact the people you care about the most.
Daddy!
Remember, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Do your patriotic duty.
You bet I did, brother.
What happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls.
Paid for by Vote Common Good.
Critics wasted no time tearing into Clooney, branding him as tone-deaf, insincere, and, above all, guilty of blatant pandering. A slip-up is one thing, but this misstep felt like a complete free-fall down the stairs of public opinion. While Clooney has survived controversies before, the Hollywood landscape has shifted. It's less forgiving now, and backlash spreads like wildfire. For a star with a carefully crafted image to maintain, this wasn't just bad press, it was a full-blown crisis. Determined to take back control of the narrative, Clooney launched a full-scale media offensive to repair his image and win back public support. But this wasn't just your run-of-the-mill PR push, it was a high-stakes, all-or-nothing campaign. At the center of it was a bold strategy, an appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher. The plan was simple. Clooney would walk onto Maher's stage, charm the audience, offer a heartfelt apology, and sprinkle in some exclusive political insights to remind everyone why he was once so admired. However, Bill Maher wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet. When Clooney's team pitched the idea to Maher's producers, emphasizing how his appearance would draw massive viewership and create a media frenzy, Maher reportedly shot it down without hesitation. "This isn't a platform for celebrity image rehab," he allegedly said, making it clear he wasn't interested in being part of a shallow publicity stunt. Refusing to give up, Clooney's team came back with a revamped pitch, doubling down on the exclusivity and drama of the appearance. This time, they promised headline-grabbing revelations, direct clapbacks to his critics, and a spectacle guaranteed to dominate the media cycle for weeks. Their aim? To turn this interview into the must-see event that would catapult Clooney back into the spotlight and restore his image. The stakes couldn't have been higher, but Maher, as always, wasn't one to play by Hollywood's rules. Maher remained steadfast in his refusal, reportedly telling HBO executives that bringing Clooney on the show would alienate his core audience. His viewers tuned in for sharp, no-nonsense political analysis, not a celebrity's attempt at damage control. Maher was convinced that his audience valued substance over spectacle, particularly in a media landscape already saturated with fluff. At the heart of Maher's stance was a growing disillusionment with the role of celebrities in politics and public discourse. While figures like Clooney once wielded significant influence, Maher seemed to believe that the cultural tide had shifted. Star power alone wasn't enough to carry a meaningful narrative anymore. In his view, public trust demanded authenticity and depth, qualities he didn't see in Clooney's push for a televised comeback. Turning Real Time into a stage for a celebrity redemption story didn't align with Maher's vision for the show, and he wasn't about to compromise its integrity for a PR stunt. Despite the repeated rejections, Clooney's team didn't give up. In a last-ditch effort, they pitched an idea for a live Q&A session where Clooney would field unscripted questions from the audience to showcase his sincerity and directly address his critics. Once again, Maher declined, remaining unconvinced. Here's where the story takes a personal twist. After the third rejection, Clooney himself decided to intervene, reaching out to Maher directly. He proposed an unscripted, candid conversation, hoping to appeal to Maher's belief in open dialogue. But Maher wasn't budging. According to sources, he bluntly told Clooney that his show wasn't a platform for celebrity redemption arcs. For Maher, it wasn't just about protecting his ratings, it was about maintaining the show's credibility. This final rejection wasn't just a professional setback for Clooney, it was a deeply personal blow. A Hollywood icon who had spent decades accustomed to doors opening effortlessly with his charm now faced a rare and public refusal. For someone like Clooney, who had long been a darling of both Hollywood and the public, this moment of rejection was an uncharted and humbling experience, one that served as a stark reminder that even stars aren't immune to the shifting tides of public opinion. Behind the scenes, the feud between George Clooney and Bill Maher was intensifying. Maher, never one to mince words, reportedly mocked Clooney's persistent attempts to appear on Real Time during private conversations. According to insiders, Maher allegedly described Clooney's behavior as desperate, likening his repeated pitches to auditioning for a pity party. Though these remarks weren't made publicly, word quickly got back to Clooney, leaving him seething with anger. Maher didn't stop there. During one of his monologues, he took thinly veiled shots at Hollywood elites, ridiculing actors who clung to their fame by pushing political agendas rather than relying on their actual body of work. While he didn't name Clooney outright, the implications were clear to anyone paying attention to the drama. Clooney, however, wasn't about to let Maher have the last word. Frustrated and eager to shift the narrative, his team began pitching him to other platforms, including The Howard Stern Show. But even Stern, known for his unfiltered and edgy interviews, appeared hesitant. Reports suggested that Stern's team was cautious about associating with Clooney, given the actor's spiraling public image and the growing backlash surrounding him. As rejection after rejection piled up, Clooney's frustration reportedly boiled over. Behind the scenes, insiders described him as being in meltdown mode, venting his anger not just at Maher, but at the broader Hollywood ecosystem. Once known for his charm and composed demeanor, Clooney's erratic behavior was both surprising and unsettling to those around him. Meanwhile, Maher remained unshaken. Although he never directly mentioned Clooney by name, his pointed comments about celebrity culture and political posturing left little doubt about the target of his criticism. For Maher, this wasn't just a professional standoff, it was a principled stand. By refusing to entertain Clooney's PR campaign, Maher reinforced his commitment to authenticity and refused to let his show become a platform for shallow celebrity theatrics. What started as a simple disagreement has now morphed into one of Hollywood's most talked about scandals of the year. The clash between Clooney and Maher isn't just about an actor trying to salvage his reputation or a talk show host maintaining his integrity. It reflects a broader cultural shift where the public and even the entertainment industry seems increasingly unwilling to give celebrities a free pass. In a world shaped by social media and instant backlash, even the most iconic figures are discovering that reputation, once lost, isn't easily reclaimed.